but you want to believe in yourself more than anybody else. Because if you don't, nobody else will.
Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast, a podcast about women who work in sports. I'm your host, Jahaan Blake. After 15 years of working for 3 major league teams, including the Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Chicago Cubs, I discovered the one thing I loved the most was helping women in sports shatter glass ceilings and take their seat at the table. I loved it so much that I made a business out of it. I have the honor of coaching high-performing women in the sports and entertainment industry and supporting them as they go after exactly what they want in their career. So if you are feeling tired of waiting on the sidelines, done being overlooked for promotions, and you're ready to pull ahead of the pack and take your career to the next level, girl, I'm here for it. I also created the Game of Her Own podcast to support you as well. We are here to share the stories of incredible women who work in sports and entertainment. These leaders and trailblazers will inspire you with their success and the lessons they've learned along the way to the top. Ladies, there is nothing like women empowering women. I am so honored you're here.
All right, it is the last Thursday of the month, and that means it's time for the Off the Beaten Path series, where I interview women who work in the sports and entertainment industry, but have gone off the beaten path and have created their own business. So there were 5 episodes prior to this one. I will link to those in the show notes so you guys can check them out if you haven't already, of these incredible women and how they boldly stepped into entrepreneurship, started their own business, had an idea, had a problem that they wanted to solve, had this, entrepreneur bug inside of them. And they were brave and took the steps and started their own business. And this last episode, it was a spring and summer series. And so as we go into the fall, which is sad, and I know that this is the last one, and I decided to give you all a peek behind the scenes into my business and what I went through to become an entrepreneur, how I got there, my journey, my why. And also I get asked a lot, people want to know, I get the, can I pick your brain? I'm starting my own business. And so I don't always get to say yes to those because I do have to protect my time. That's something I'm going to talk about today. And so I thought, why not record that episode and give those of you who want to learn more about what it's like to become an entrepreneur. Maybe you're just curious. Maybe you want to start your own business in the future. Maybe today is your first day as an entrepreneur and you want to learn from others. So I'm going to share some of the lessons that I learned along the way to help others. All right, friends, let's do this. If you are new here, when I talk about my business and what I do, I'm talking about consulting and I'm talking about coaching. So on the consulting side, I help sports and entertainment organizations align their frontline staff to their brand promise. And on the coaching side, I work with high achieving women who work in the sports and entertainment industry who feel stuck, frustrated, and defeated. I help them find their voice and tackle what is ever keeping them from having the career that they've always dreamed of having. One of the first things I learned was to embrace the uncertainty, but that didn't come easily to me. At first, I started my business and I remember somebody said to me, and this person was in the C-suite. So I respected this person and they said, it's very difficult to start your own business. And I didn't ask the question why. I just made the assumption that this person, I was like, well, I know my stuff. I've been doing this for 15 years. If I start my own consulting business, it's going to be hard, but how hard could it be? I know that I can do this work. I love it and I'm good at it and I can do this and I can start my own business. And I didn't understand. I was like, well, yeah, it won't be hard. It'll be fine. Well, I really wish I asked why, because I wonder if this person was going to talk about the uncertainty piece of it. And that's been the hardest part for me, is the uncertainty. For me, I dealt with the uncertainty by eating a lot of pizza. Those of you who know me well know that I can't have dairy. So that really didn't go over well. Lactate really did not help me. I just ate a lot of pizza and I ate a lot, and that helped me with uncertainty. Some people decide that they are going to try to control things that, they have no control over. I went for the food and I went for comfort food because all the uncertainty was a lot. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. There are going to be days where you go off on your own. You're like, okay, things are busy and I have all the clients in the world and I am turning out all these proposals. And then some days it's going to be really quiet and you're going to have these lulls where you're like, am I doing the right thing? Am I good at this? And you just have to remember, you have to have that belief in yourself and your capabilities. So the outside validation is only going to get you so far. You have to believe in what you are doing, what you are selling, what you are offering, the service you're offering, whatever it is, the product that you're offering, whatever it is that you're doing in your business, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your capabilities. You have to be very, very confident in that regard. And it doesn't mean that you can't be open to learning and growing. But if you don't 100% believe in the work that you are putting out every single day when you wake up, it's going to be really difficult, because when it gets quiet, the phone isn't ringing, or someone's not returning your emails, or a proposal that you worked so hard on, you don't get a response from, or a product that you launched doesn't sell well. When those things happen, you have to take those and you can look at them as lessons learned, as failures, however you want to look at them, but you can't let them crush you. You can't let those stop you, because that's going to happen a lot throughout your business. So I've had periods of time where I have been super busy when it comes to consulting. It's been really busy. And then there's been times where it's been quiet. And what's funny is that this is what I asked for when I came to my consulting business. I remember sitting down talking to somebody when I worked for the Cubs, and I said, gosh, I just want to go really hard on a project and then have some time off. And I got what I asked for, but I kind of forgot about that. So when it was quiet and I had the time to myself, I didn't necessarily take it because I thought, well, this can't be good. This could be a reflection of the work that I'm doing. It was just a lull in my business, and things picked up once again. So I got what I wanted, but I didn't recognize that, because the uncertainty can start to mess with you. So remember, you want to get comfortable being uncomfortable, embrace that uncertainty. You want to believe in yourself and your capabilities, and that's it. Every single day you wake up and that you know that you can crush the job that you're doing. Again, doesn't mean that you can't learn along the way, doesn't mean you won't grow along the way, but you want to believe in yourself more than anybody else, because if you don't, nobody else will. One thing that a lot of people ask me about is, what should I do? I'm still working full-time job. Is there anything I can do to build my business now? One thing you could do is, and you'll hear in some of the episodes, if you haven't already, again, I linked in the show notes. Some of the women are doing this on the side. They have two businesses, and sometimes you wouldn't even know. I didn't know until I was digging a little deeper. I was like, oh, this person's also full-time for a sports organization, and they're doing this side work. So you'll see that in some of the episodes. But one of the things that you can do now, if you're not quite ready to make that leap, one, make sure you build your network. Build and then nurture. That's something that came really natural to me, and I feel lucky. Connection is something I value, and I love talking to other people who work in the industry, whether it's sports and entertainment, whether they're in customer experience, whether it's other coaches. I love talking to people who do what I do. I love learning from them. It's part of why I do this podcast, is because I love interviewing people and then being able to share it with others who don't get the opportunity to necessarily talk to everybody, might not have the time, whatever. But I digress. So build your network now and make sure it's authentic. Make sure it feels right. Make sure you're not just doing it just to check a box. If connection is something you value, make sure you nurture those relationships that you have. And then when you start your business, make sure you tell people what you're doing. Make sure you tell people that you have gone out and you have opened your own business and that you are starting. And that is something that when I first started, I was like, oh, yes, I get to email everybody and tell them what I'm up to. I did it at every part of my career. Every time I moved teams, I let everybody know. And then when I started my own business, I let everybody know. And then there were some people that I thought, I think I might be able to help them. So reach out, have that phone call. And if you have a good relationship with those people, they'll let you know yes or no. I will tell you that nobody has ignored my phone calls. Nobody's ignored my emails. And I've had people tell me, yes, you're exactly what we need right now. Put something together. And I've had people that from my network tell me, I don't need the help right now, but let me introduce you to somebody. Or I don't need the help right now, but can you check back? Because that's something that is on our radar. So you can't be afraid to tap into your network. At first, I was a little like, I don't want to sell to everybody in my network. I don't want it to come off like that's why I'm talking to them. But when I had the conversations, I had the first couple I had to push through, just like I tell my coaching clients to kind of do it once. And I'm telling you, it gets easier. That's what I did. I pushed myself and I had those conversations. And sometimes I was very honest with how I was feeling, depending on the relationship I had with somebody. And they were always great conversations. I never got off a call and felt like I was taking advantage of somebody. And the reception I got from people was unbelievable. People want to support you. People want to help you, especially when you have something that you can offer, whether it's a service or a product, whatever it is. If you have something that can help them, they want to know more about it. You already have the relationship part. The connection part is out of the way. So now they know what you offer. They know who you are. They know what you stand for, right? If you were nurturing that relationship, they already sort of had that introduction out of the way. And so now you can focus on the work that you can do for them. And so that has been something that has helped me throughout my career when I worked for teams. And that has certainly helped me when I started my own business. One thing I will tell you, I don't know how some people deal with the freedom in a good way and have their routines and are very disciplined. That's the word I'm looking for. People are very disciplined. And I was so excited for my freedom when I started my business. I lacked discipline to start, which is not necessarily like me. When I started at all the organizations I worked for, it was very I had my routines, disciplined, and it was easy for me to get started. For some reason, all the freedom, I just maybe went to my head. I don't know. Maybe I just needed the time, but I lacked that discipline when I first started. And people, always ask me oh, what would you do differently when you first started? I would have a routine. I would set boundaries for when I work. For me, I'm an introvert. I have to protect my time and energy. And even if you're an extrovert, you should do the same. But for me, it was important to make sure I structured my day a certain way that I was making sure that I focused on timing. So for me, I'm a morning person. I have all my best ideas in the morning. I do my best work in the morning. I also know that I need some time to myself because I give a lot of energy. Being an introvert who everyone argues with me, people will tell me I'm an extrovert, and people who don't know me, which is really frustrating, but I'm an introvert. So I know that I need some time alone. So I build my schedule accordingly. I block my calendar. My clients have access to my calendar to schedule time. And so I block my calendar accordingly. I know that mornings are my best. So that's when I want to meet with my clients. Now, not every client can meet with me in the morning. And so I have afternoon appointments too, but I also build in time that I can take a minute, and whether it's go for a walk, sometimes it's watch a Friends episode. I need to pause and almost restart my day so I can make sure that for my 4:00 and 5:00 appointments with my clients, I am just as good as I am in the morning. But that takes some finessing, and that takes me making sure that I'm mindful about what my schedule looks like and how I block my time. So having a routine right from the start, understanding what time of day you do your best work is going to help you. And I know that that was one of the frustrations I had when I was working for a team was, sometimes I need a minute to myself. And I think now that COVID has happened in the sports industry is a lot of teams are being flexible. Not all teams. Some teams have to do what works best for them, but teams and organizations are letting people have more of a flexible work schedule. So for me, I'm this is what I needed, but it wasn't common. So now you see things are flexible and people are getting time to work from home. So the introverts of the world, especially in the sports and entertainment industry, are very happy because they can take a day. For me, I know that I only need 1 day a week where I need a minute to myself. When I had an office, I could close my door. But I know the introverts of the world are happy because they can take that day to work from home, refresh, not have to answer any questions, or not have people bust into your office. It's different. Okay, so we talked about routine, discipline. Something else I think that's important is support. There's lots to be done. There's lots of hats to be worn. And you have to figure out what your zone of genius is. What sort of work do you do really effortlessly that is just easy for you to do? That's where you need to do the majority of your work. For me, I know that there's certain things when I have a vision and I have a project that I'm working on, all of the logistics. Now I'm good at logistics, but it's not my zone of genius. So I'm really good at the logistics, but I hired on a virtual assistant to help me with those things. I see what I need to do. I see the project that I need to launch, whether it's consulting, whether it's coaching. I know what I need to do, but I need someone to handle the logistics so I can stay in my zone of genius. So I recommend to all entrepreneurs, whatever support you can get, however much support you can afford, definitely go for it. That's super important to help you do your best work. That's how I look at it. So one of the first things I did is I brought on a virtual assistant for consulting work. I have a virtual assistant, but I also brought on additional project managers so I could stay focused at a higher level and work with executives on their vision. And in order to do that, I can't be in the weeds. So it was something that at first I thought I could do it all. And I learned very quickly and I knew better that I couldn't. And so I brought on people to help, people who were just as invested in me. And I think that's where my biggest concern was, is I'm starting my own business. I'm not a big brand. So are people going to be just as invested as I am? And they were. And I found really great people through my network again, and they helped me. And that's how I was able to be so successful with my consulting clients. So get the support you need. Remember that everyone's journey is different. So don't look at other business owners and think you have to do it just like they did. You have to trust your gut and work in your zone of genius, shut out all that noise. And then if you get support in terms of I have a business coach, it was one of the things I knew I needed because I missed having counterparts or coworkers and collaboration. And so I knew I was oh, this is missing. I miss the people. And so I found entrepreneur friends. That was important to me. I found a business coach, and there's no shortage of coaches out there. Make sure you find one that works for you. Make sure you find one that you feel a connection with. I mean, run fast from the turnkey programs that promise you they're going to help you make 6 figures in under, 3 months, and just run from those, right? Don't fall for the gurus who are just really loud and are all over the internet. Just run from those. Find the people who are realistic, who are going to support you and help you through the tough times and the good times. That's really important. That's something that I learned. I knew it in my gut. I was like, this just doesn't seem right. I knew that I can make 6 figures in consulting, but it just was this doesn't feel right. These programs seem icky. And then I was able to find a business coach. I've actually had 2. I had my second one for now almost 2 years, and honestly would be lost without her. It is so great to have that partner in crime who's able to think strategically at a higher level alongside of you. And so that's something I would highly recommend as well. And then last but not least, I see this happen a lot. People get caught up in what their logo is going to look like, what their website's going to look like, their marketing plan and how they're going to show up on social media and get all these followers. And they skip the most important step. And that's defining who your ideal client is and defining what problem you're trying to solve or how you're trying to help your clients. What's your value proposition? How are you going to help them? That's a step that so many people skip. And that's a really sure way of having a business that fails and doesn't serve anybody because you're trying to serve too many people and you haven't figured out who your ideal client is and how you're going to help them. And also, bonus tip is what their experience is going to look like on the back end. How are you going to service your clients? How are you going to help them? And how are you going to service them? What's their experience with you going to be like? So you can have a really great website, you can have a really great logo, but none of those things matter. Nobody cares about those if it's not clear as to how you're going to help your clients. I will tell you this, when I landed my first client, I didn't have a logo. It was just me and my portfolio of work, all the work I had done for 15 years. That was my credibility. Didn't have a social media account. That's actually only started in the last year, the one that I have now. And I do that honestly more for fun and visibility, right? It's a business decision to have the Instagram account, but it helps get the word out. But I didn't have that until last year. This is my 5th year in business, and I just started focusing on that. My energy and my time was figuring out how I was going to help my clients. So on the consulting side, I knew okay, fan experience is important, obviously, because that's what I've done for the past, almost 20 years now. So I knew at that time it had been 15 years. So I knew that I wanted to continue the work that I was doing and help organizations figure out how to align their frontline staff to their brand promise. That was important to me. And I knew that I wanted to continue to do that work. And I knew that there was a need for that. Right? I wanted to work for organizations that wanted to make service a priority, and I could help them get there. So that was very clear to me. And then for coaching, I knew that there were women who were just like me, who were ready to take that step and level up their career. Right. And there was just some things that were getting in their way, some things that were keeping them from getting exactly what they wanted out of their career. The transformation was I would work with them and help them have the career of their dreams, help them find their voice, help figure out whatever that obstacle was and help them overcome it and get exactly what they wanted out of their career. So that was important to me. So I spent a lot of time doing that. But I also, for the coaching side, I interviewed a lot of women. Well, how can I help them? What would that look like? What would sessions look like? So I spent a lot of time interviewing and doing some market research to make sure there was something there. And then for the consulting side, I knew there was something there. That to me was clear because I've been doing it for 15 years. So for me, for the consulting and the coaching, taking the time to define my ideal client and then figure out how I'm going to help them. Website, social media, logo, all those things came later. All those things were not important. They did not help me get my first clients. On the consulting side, again, started working on Super Bowl right away and Pro Bowl, and it had nothing to do. I didn't have a logo. I wasn't even an LLC yet. Didn't have any of those things. Those came later down the line. And same thing with coaching. Did some market research. A lot of the women I talked to said, hey, can you send me your rates? All right. I didn't even have this website that I have now, right? JahaanBlake.com did not exist. It was only consulting. So I thought, okay, well, of course I can send you some rates. So I had to put stuff together and figure it out on the fly. And then I started to, after about a year of doing it, I put together a website because I had a much clearer picture of the work I was going to do and how I was going to get the word out about my services and how I was going to market it. And that's when I put together the marketing plan a year and a half later after having consistent clients and consistent work. All right. So I have given you a lot of tips and a peek into my business. I hope this is really helpful for all of you that want to go out on your own and start your own business. I think it's really inspiring and motivating for others to see other women going out there and doing the thing. So if you have this plan or you have this vision of a business that you want to start, do it. Just get it started. Just take one step. And hopefully these tips that I gave you and the peek inside my business helps you as you start to go off on your own.
So what did you think of this episode? Do you know another woman who works or is aspiring to work in sports? Would you do me a favor and share this with them? It would mean so much if together we could support and inspire other women on their journey. And let's stay connected. I love meeting and talking to new people. Follow me on Instagram at Jahaan Blake and join the free Game of Her Own community by visiting JahaanBlake.com. I can't wait to meet you.